Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. It's Bumper here, okay, back with a new video today. Today we're going to have a little chat about the older, dirty, sordid word selling. Selling stuff in your collection. Yeah, I know there's a stigma around it. I know a lot of people don't like to do it, but ultimately sometimes, whether it's to save space, whether it's to get some money, sometimes it just needs to be done. Okay, so I'm going to have a little chat today now because I've sold quite a lot of high ticket items in my collection, and I just want to sort of talk about how I feel about it, give people some pointers in regards of how they should do it if they're thinking of doing it, and is it really all doom and gloom to sell a few things here and there, especially when you've got a lot. So yeah, I mean, I wrote a few pointers down here. They're not really tips, they're more subject headings, and we're going to have a little look into a couple of things and have a little talk as we go on. So first up, when to sell on eBay and when to sell to CEX. Okay, so it's pretty much common sense, right? Only sell to CEX if the item you're selling is still readily available in like HMV and on the company's website, and there's not a big call for it. Because what you've got to remember is when you're selling on eBay, if someone can go get it in a shop brand new, then the likelihood of them buying it off you secondhand for anything more than 50% of what it's worth is very unlikely, unless it's brand new. So have a look at what CX will give you, have a sort of look at what it's going for on eBay, and you probably find there won't be much difference, and it will be worth taking to CEX. However, if an item is out of print, CEX, they don't care if it's out of print. It won't affect the price they give you, the money they give you. They don't care if it's got a slipcover. They don't care if the poster's missing or there's a big ding on it or a big rip. They will give you whatever they will give you, but it will always be low, and they will sell it at a high mark, okay? But what you've got to remember is people don't like buying collector's items and grail items from CEX because there's never no guarantee of the quality is going to come in. So unless they're buying it live in store, they don't want to do it. So you don't have to sell yourself as low as what CEX will give you on eBay. Definitely not. You want to go what eBay would sell it for, and then a bit more. If you need to bring it down, you need to bring it down. But always remember, selling on eBay is when something's worth more than what you paid for it. Selling to CEX is when there's no value in it and you just want a quick buck in your back pocket. That's the difference between the two. I'll give you a quick example. So when I was selling my stuff, the first thing that was worth money, and I needed a new fridge freezer. I put a bloody hole in the back of mine trying to defrost it, and I needed a new carpet in the living room and a new three-piece suite. It all came at the same time. If you're a movie collector, what you can't do, especially if you've got a family, is when your wife says to you in the middle of the month, oh, I need a couple of £100 for this or a couple of £100 for that, you can't turn around and say, sorry, love, I spent all my money on films this month, I won't be able to do it. Or, sorry, love, there's a couple of films coming out next week that I want to buy, I'm not going to be able to do it, right? Your collecting will not last long. Unless you're single or on your own, it won't last long. If you are being selfish, and every time your wife asks you for money towards something in the house, you say, I can't, I spent all my money on films, it ain't going to last long, okay? So sometimes when they say, can you help me out with this? You've got to say yes, because in the long run, it will benefit you. So when my missus asked me for £300 for a fridge freezer, £200 towards a carpet, and God knows whatever it was for a three-piece suite, I didn't have a lot of money in the bank because I'm always buying my films. But I had to come up with the goods. So I had to sell a couple of bits and bobs. It was as simple as that. Otherwise, it's just not going to be worth living in my house. So first thing I saw was Second Sight. So I had 4 Second Sight box sets that were worth money. I had the Blair Witch Project, which remember was a Blu-ray, but it was a nice box. I had The Witch, which was a 4K. I had The Babadook, which was a 4K. And I had The Picnic at Hanging Rock, which was a big 4K chunky one. They were all out of print. You couldn't get them anywhere. So I had a lot of CEX. CEX give you pennies for them. They're all in perfect condition. There's no need for me to sell them on CEX. So I put them on eBay. So the Blair Witch Project, it was just a Blu-ray. It was a fairly new release. I'd read the book. I'd taken in everything it had to offer me. I wanted the films though, so I was a little bit gutted about having to sell it. So the guy I sold it to, I think, for Blair Witch, because it's Blu-ray, I think I got £80 or £90. So more than double what I paid for it. And then I found this on Amazon. Exactly the same. Same artwork, so I haven't lost the artwork. Same on the discs, got the festival uncut version, which is the one everyone wanted it for. It's all on here. And I paid £8 for this, and I'm happy. Like, I'm not looking at my Second Sight collection now going, oh, I wish I still had that Blair Witch box set. If I didn't have this, maybe I would be, but because I got this, I know this is all I need. It's like a junkie needing a fix. Like, I know, like, as long as I got this, I don't need the Prime. Like, I mean, at the £20 crack will do me just as green as the £50 crack will do me me in this situation. So yeah, so that's what I'm saying. So I sold it for £80, and then the other one was The Witch. The Witch I sold for £120. Someone gave me £120 for a 4K of The Witch with a box. The artwork's amazing. Don't get me wrong, but look what I found on Amazon for £8. Oh, this is a Blu-ray, not a 4K, but I don't care about that. Like, you know, these are there ready for when I want to watch them. I only bought them recently. That's why I understand things. Only sold my items recently, so there was nothing to worry about letting them go. And I used to look at those titles on my shelf and think, oh yeah, you're the kiddie for having those. Not many people got those. I just think, what a load of bullshit. Like, get the money in your back burner and do something tidy with it. So I got this for £8. So I'm £112 up, like, and I still got the movie as crackers. So yeah, so that's my first point. Okay, you know, if this thing is out of print and you know it's worth more than what the retail is, get it on eBay. If it's now worth less than the retail, which is a reason why I don't buy standard anymore, unless I think something's going to be worth more in the future, I can sometimes stay away from it unless I really, really want it. All right then, so next. Check what's available before you sell. All right. So if you've got something that's out to print and you think, oh my God, I don't want to sell that, I'll never get it again. First thing you do is look at other releases, right, from around the globe and see what you can do. So I got another prime example of this, right, with these two, right. First one up, I'll show you Demons, right. Demons on 4K. So I had Demons 1 and 2 on a second site, I think it was, or it might have been Arrow, Steelbook. They don't do Steelbooks very often, second site either. So, but that might have been the basket case one, I'm not sure. But anyway, I had it on Steelbook. And it was out to print. And it was only a Blu-ray, mind, but it was going for quite a bit. CX was selling it for 50. So I put it on for a little bit less than what CX were selling it for, because it did have a couple of dings because it was a steelbook. But someone gave me 35 quid for it. And then I thought, well, I really want Demons 1 and 2. Like, why am I selling them? They're two of my favourite horror films. And I thought, let's have a look what there is out there. And I typed it in and I found this from Synapse on Film Treasures. Yeah, it was £49, so I had to pay an extra £14, but I've upgraded from a 4K. I've got rid of that steelbook because I don't like steelbooks. Put this in the collection. Everything's happy again. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, that steelbook's out of print, and this isn't out of print, but who cares? You know, like, I've got the movies, I've got them in a better definition, and yeah, it's from Synapse, so you can't moan. And then the other one I did, like, people, I'm going to have an heart attack when I selling this, but I saw my Dario Argento Art, a limited edition of Tenebrae. I love Tenebrae. I don't even like Dario Argento that much, but Tenebrae is one of my favourite films ever. And I thought, I can't sell this. It's Tenebrae, like, it's 4Ks, and the Art a edition, and, you know, there's some guy offering me 80 quid. I'm thinking, oh God, 80 quid. So I thought, let's have a little look what I can get. And boom, Synapse again. Look at the artwork on that. 4K, 25 quid. And the guy was giving me 80 for the Arrow one. It's probably the same scans. This has got the other versions. I like the Unseen version as well. And, you know, like I said, 25 quid. So in the end, I'm £55 up again. And I got this bad boy. So sometimes the grass can be greener, or you can find something that will satisfy you when you get rid of the other one. So yeah, like I said, if you're going to sell a box set and you think, oh God, I don't want to sell it, I love this film, see what else is about that you can get. Because you might find a cheaper option that will still make you happy. Like, there's no shame in telling people you got Tenebrae on 4K from Synapse. Like, this is a prime release. So, yeah, you know, so that's it, you know, just check what's available first, and you might find you won't be so gutted about letting something go, because you can replace it with a cheaper version that you're still happy with. All right, then tip number 3, this is a good one. Consider downgrading box sets with worthless sequels. Okay, so I had loads of Arrow box sets, right? Especially Japanese ones. I had Battle Royale with the sequels. I had Ring with all the sequels. And I had The Grudge with all the sequels, right? Now, I don't like the sequels. The sequels to The Grudge are just a piss take. They're just like compilations of all the other movies. They are so jarring and off-putting. You only need the original Grudge. You do not need that big box. Same with The Ring. Number 2's okay. Number 3's crap. You don't really need them all just to own the first one. So what Arrow have done is they've released the first ones on 4K. Now, I can't show you the example because I haven't bought them yet, but I am going to get Ringu on 4K in a sale for £15. I'm going to get Grudge on 4K for £15, and I'm going to get Battle Royale on 4K for £15. Now, Battle Royale was sold out. It was out of print box set. There wasn't 4K either. It was Blu-rays. I bought the wrong one years ago, so I sold it. So I'm going to get it on 4K for 15 quid. Yeah, I lose the big chunky box, but again, I sold it for about 50, 60, so I'm another 40 quid up, and I'm still going to have the movie. And then with Ringu and the Grudge box set, they're still available now on the Arrow website. You can still buy them for as little as £25 and £30. So with those ones, I didn't expect so much of a profit. I let them go at CEX, but I took those to CEX and got the money, knowing full well that I can just get the 4Ks of the two I want, and I still made more of CEX. Not a lot more mine, but it was still a profit. So yeah, so like these two, I wouldn't get rid of. Like you can get the single films of these on 4K, Children of the Corn, or on Blu-ray, and Phantasm. But I like the sequels, and not many people say that about these, but the third one's probably the best of the lot. So, like, I wouldn't do it with these, even if they were available or not, because I still want them. But ask yourself, have you got these chunky box sets with all these films in, and do you really only like one of them? It was the same with, like, the 88 Films ones before, when they released Species and Urban Legend. Like, and the first ones are great, but the rest are absolute crap. They're just doing it to milk you a bit more cash, like, because they know they can only charge you so much for one title. So yeah, so always consider downgrading when you've got more than one film in the box and you only really like the one. Okay, and then my fourth tip is be honest about what needs replacing and what can be sold for good. So the first thing I did when I was deciding to have a bit of a cull, because I needed to get some money together, and my films were just everywhere anyway, right? I tell you what triggered me is I was watching AJ, right? Watching AJ's Movie Place, and he'd done a video once where I think he got 8,000 films in his collection, or 6,000 films in his collection, and he worked out how long it would take him to watch all those films. And it was something like 38 years, and that's like, without working and sleeping, that is just a ratio hour for hour, do you know what I mean? I thought, gee whiz. Now, I know some people argue and say, well, the aim is not to watch every film in your collection. The aim is just to have the film there for when you want it. And I agree. But how many films do you actually need there to choose from? Because the more you got, the harder it is. So now I've culled, when it comes to 9 o'clock at night, every night, when it's my movie time, and I go to the shop to get a movie, I find it a lot more easier to find a movie now than what I did before, So yes, we get a pile and then write down what CX will give you on every single one, and you can use it then as like a bit of a credit card or whatever. Write it down, a bit of paper, put it by your films, and then if you're ever skinned, you could think, oh well, yeah, I won't watch that one again. And now I know that comes to 30. If I take those, come to CX, that's a quick 30 quid, happy days. All right, so that's what I did. And then also, what I did then, I looked at what I was selling and what I was selling that I didn't really want to go, and I would still like those films in my collection. So then it goes on to the other point then where you can look at replacements and things for what you need, and it's easier then because you're tidying up your collection. You're getting rid of one pile of films that you've got no intention of ever watching again, so they're easy to sell. They are really, they don't sort of play on you. And you've got your films that you don't really want to sell, but you haven't watched them in a while, you're probably not going to watch them again. But you would, if you see it cheap, you probably would buy it. But that's okay, man. Let them go. If you end up buying them again, it don't matter as long as you're not paying double for something you sold previous. It's all good. So yeah, really, that kind of brings me to the end of everything I wanted to say. I'm trying to think now if I've missed out on any points. The main thing to say is it's all right to sell some movies. If it's gathering dust and it's worth a little something and you're a bit skint, or I sold some stuff just to get Vinegar Syndrome money. I sold a couple of things on eBay. My 88 films, I love 88 films, but a lot of the stuff I bought off them is stuff I got no intention of watching. Like I bought all them Tygon movies, and I'm a sucker for the nostalgia, but I don't think I'm a sucker for the movies as much, really. So I got rid of them. I got good money for them, and no, I don't miss them because every time I went to the shelf to get a film off, I never considered watching them. It was always something different I wanted to watch. So. Sorry, as always, a disturbance in the force. I nearly missed out on what I was going to say is, so when you look at your films and you think, what could be sold and what needs to be replaced, and then you look at how you're going to replace them, and you look at online, and like I say, you find some cheaper versions, it's fine. But what happens if you sell something that's out of print that can be replaced? So I sold a film called Ninja Terminator from Neon Eagle. It came in a box set. It was only a Blu-ray, but I got insane money for it because it was out of print. It was only a Blu-ray. It's a good film. It's a crap film, so bad it's a good film. But there was no other way to get it. There's no other releases other than the one I sold. But I didn't want to turn down the money. When someone rubbed that money under my nose, I wanted it. So do you know what I did on my computer? And I'm not promoting this or anything, but it's easy to do. You Google it, DVD Fab, and it'll tell you what to do. I cloned the disc. So I sold this movie for about £80-90 a box in a big box, Ninja Terminator. But before I sold it, I cloned the disc. So this is everything. This is everything that's on that Ninja Terminator disc, and I printed it onto here. Some movies you might think these days would have some sort of like piracy protection or coding, but they rarely bother, especially boutique labels, because it costs too much money to put it on the discs. So I can rip these. Now, don't get me wrong, I don't make a profit off them. I don't sell them. But I got it. So I've sold this movie, but I haven't, if that makes any sense. And the other one I did it for was Curse of the Bloody Iris. I bought this movie off Celluloid Dreams in America. It was quite an expensive release. It came with these stupid big art cards. And then they bought out this second film, Short Like the Glass Dolls, which I had from '88. So I thought, I'm not collecting these movies from Celluloid Dreams. They're going to be too expensive, and the half of them I'm going to have from '88 anyway. So I sold it for good money, and you know what? I cloned the disc. So that is the exact clone of the 4K disc of that film. So I haven't really lost that film. All I've lost is the cover. Like, I could be a twat and I could do this for every single film. It cost me about £17 for 25 discs. I could do this to all my collection, sell them all, and keep them all in a folder. But I don't want to do that because, just like you, I like the boxes and the booklets and the thing, but I just want them to be on the movies I want them to be on, and anything I find subpar or not up to the threshold of that, I'm happy to buy a lesser version, or like I said, clone the discs and get rid of them. So yeah, so I Tenebrae, sold the Arrow, got the Synapse, calm moan. Second Sight, sold the limited editions of these two, got them for £8 each, calm moan. Sold these limited editions, can't get them again, clone the discs, calm moan. So there we are then. I've been Bumper. If you're looking for any further advice or tips on what I've talked about here, or you're going through any kind of like stress with it and you're really struggling, give me a shout, because honestly, once I have a chat with you for a half hour, you'll be happy to sell some of your stuff. It's not for everyone. I know people like Keith, Mid-Level Media, they would never sell their films. Maybe they don't have to, but sometimes when you're a family man, you do. So, don't be ashamed. It happens. And like I said, like me, even when you sell 400 films, your collection still looks insane. So it's all good. I've been Bumper. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you soon.